TRE, I'd never heard of it. It just kept coming up in that festival, and there's about 6 or 7 practitioners that were there. I was like, what is this stuff? But here's the funny thing, and my friend who's got his own podcast, he's dying to talk to you. He said to me about a year ago, my body's doing this crazy shit. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, it's doing something and it's out of control, and I feel better, like it's fixing itself. And I thought, he's gone crazy. He's come up with some woo-woo thing. It's not real. Right. And then we were in a hotel room together, and I was like, oh, look, my diaphragm. He goes, my diaphragm used to do that. He goes, just let it go and see what happens. So about a year ago, I just let the diaphragm, and I did that for about 10 or 15 minutes, but I couldn't move it. And then I suppressed it again. I thought, well, that's weird. And then it came up again when you and I did that session about 6 weeks ago, and it was all over the place.
What's really interesting is that it is odd, because I don't like to even say TRE is a technique or a method or anything like that. It's genetic encoding in the human organism. And only when we finally let go, whatever circumstances produce relaxing and letting go, only when we do that, really, that tremor mechanism will automatically start to come in. And if you've trained your body to access it, then it starts coming in faster and easier.
Yeah. It can happen now. If I want it to, it can. It's ready to go. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
And that is what living in a human body is supposed to be.
Yes.
That our cortex can work with the nervous system, and together, like you said, I could just sit here and I could just start to, my shoulders will start to tremor. I can get my legs to start to tremor right now if I want them to. And so that should be the authentic dialogue between cortex and nervous system. It means the cortical brain and the subcortical brain, the part that's below the brain, which is very primitive, which is where the tremor mechanism comes from. Those two should be in dialogue with one another. That's the healthiest state of being a human organism.
Are you familiar with an artist called Lewis Capaldi? He's like a really big artist now, really beautiful singer.
Yes.
Have you seen the documentary on Netflix?
No.
He was had this big, huge song, and he had #1 album, came out of nowhere, huge hit, and then the pressure came. You need to do another album. It needs to be bigger than the first one. Go. And this stress, and then guess what? His shoulders started doing this. And his dad's going, oh, it's back again. He goes, yeah. He goes, this is what happens when I'm really stressed. They didn't talk about how he healed it. He changed his diet and his stress got a bit better. But he says, this always happens when I'm stressed. And you can see it in the documentary. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's so sad. There's a very specific reason why that right shoulder moves and not the left, or it's not his leg moving. There's an anatomical reason associated with the stressor. And so the body makes complete sense. We just don't understand it.
I had my girlfriend on the mat last night, and I was like, obviously I'm not a practitioner. I was like, let's get you trembling. And she's a bit more resistant to this sort of stuff than me. And I had her with her legs up and the back up, and all that happened, she just got sore. No trembling happened yesterday.
Right.
So does it work on everybody? I know you've got different inductions, but any tips for like her?
Yeah, it works 100% on everybody, because remember, it's a genetic encoding in the human organism. If she doesn't tremor, she's alien, and I'd love to meet her, because every human organism tremors. Now, some people, like you said, they're a little bit resistant. Well, that's fine with me. The resistance is a reason, so I don't want to break through or force it. But it's an indicator that the body is under complete control, and there's a story or a history why it's under complete control. Now, if she really wants to do it, I would say do it in a more playful manner, meaning lay on the floor and watch a comedy show on TV or something like that. She doesn't even have to pick her pelvis up. Just keep the knees open, and keep them open for about 5 minutes or so. Then when she closes them just a tiny little bit, like 3 centimeters. I mean, really small. Do you use centimeters or inches?
Yes, centimeters, yeah.
Okay, so about 3 centimeters. And she just holds that. Anatomically, her adductor muscles will start to tremor. But when I have like a lot of rigid structures like exercise fitness people. They're very tough and hard. I have to close their legs much, much slower because it takes more time and effort for the tremor mechanism actually to stimulate itself because the body is so trained to be controlled.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
I'd say play with it and don't make it so serious.
Okay.
You could watch a comedy show on TV, which is just a distraction of the ego, which then allows the nervous system to have a stronger access to the body than when the ego is saying, you're not going to tremor, you're not going to tremor, you're not going to tremor. See, so it's about playing with people and getting them to play with their own body rather than making it serious.